Welcome back to another episode of Muse, where we talk about anything creative. I'm Ezra.
And I'm Nasim. And today we got a guest.
Yep.
27 Gio.
Yeah, so, man, I've been wanting to have a podcast for a minute. You know, I was blowing his phone up, but he finally responded.
Nah, that's not even true. You told me and I was like, I'm down. Just tell me when. Yeah.
So I'm definitely really excited for this. And, you know, Gio is part of... Well, he's actually the founder of the Collective 27 that I'm a part of. You talk about it a little bit to get, you know, people familiar with it.
Word. All right, so Collective 27 was founded in 2020. I started it with one of my close friends, Jane, right? Jane Lee. And we started it because we knew that we weren't going to be given the shot to, like, you know, have galleries or, like, present our work. We were pretty brand new to the art scene. I just transitioned from fighting to the art scene. And, you know, we wanted to share it with other people. And then, you know, luckily we got Ezra, you know, and a whole bunch of other great artists. Part of the collective. We have three galleries that we've had since 2020, and we're looking to have a lot more this year.
And I know Ezra knows this, and I always ask him, but he says it's better if I ask you, what does 27 mean for you? Because, you know, I love how you're always marketing 27.
Yeah, so 27 is like Ezra knows, it's like my life. It's the way I want to live my life. So 2 plus 7 equals 9. 9 is like the last original number, you know, like 0 through like 9.
Mm-hmm.
Then like say, for example, like 10 is a repeat of 1 and 0.
Okay.
Right? So like if you do like 2 plus 7, that equals 9. 9 is like the last number in the numerical alphabet or whatever you want to call it. And it signifies coming to an end, right? And the reason why 27 Collective was even started was because I thought that my life as like a fighter or a potential like pro fighter was coming to an end. Mm-hmm. And then like I was like, bro, like what am I gonna do? I got nothing to do. This was around quarantine too. And then I just you know started picking up like a good friend of mine says, my best friend, I put the gloves down and picked the paintbrush up. You know what I mean? Like I stopped doing one thing, but I continued my life doing something else. So for me, like coming to an end doesn't really come to an end. There's like more to it, you know, like once you finish something else begins.
Okay, I love that. I love that, honestly. Yeah. And today we're going to be talking about the artist's ego. There's a lot of ego in martial arts. There's a lot of ego in art. And we're talking about the difference between having a confident ego and having an arrogant ego. So,
Well, first I'm curious what your definitions of what you think arrogance is. Because, you know, it's a lot of people have different like definitions of what that is depending on what the topic is. But I want to know your opinions on it.
I think I would say like arrogance is really a false confidence, you know, a confidence that you didn't work for, that you don't have anything that shows that, oh yeah, you should be this confident in yourself. And yes, I mean, we should walk around confident all the time, but me personally, not in my life, I see like everything I've done successfully that I work towards, it does help build confidence into my next step because I have, you know, things I've done in my past that shows, yeah, bro, I can be successful with this.
So you think it's like kind of like having fake confidence without actually earning it?
Yes.
In a sense. Okay.
I would say.
How about you?
I mean, when I think about like arrogance, I think about like arrogant people, and I feel like arrogant, you know, like the saying like arrogance is bliss, you know. So I feel like if you have the ability to be arrogant, you know what I mean. It speaks to a certain demographic in my mind, you know. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's like more like kind of like you don't have anything going against you. So you're able to just basically, I feel like arrogance is being carefree. You know what I mean? Because truly, like, if you're arrogant, then you don't care about the people around you. You don't care about, like, anything that happens. You don't care, like, about the future, you know, because there's no need for you to care for it.
True.
You know?
Are you talking about being carefree in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah, because I'm about to say carefree is such a beautiful word.
It's such a beautiful way, but it's like, if you don't care about the people around you, is that really a beautiful way of being, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it depends on who, like, what it is that you're doing. Like, let's say like somebody who lives in the mountains is like just cares of like just like literally is carefree and just like worries about like, you know, like fucking feeding their goats or something. You know what I mean? And they have no idea what's going on with like the economy or like anything like that, you know. It's like they could care less. That's a good thing, you know. But like, let's say like you know,
you're
like
a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. You're a doctor. You're carefree. You don't really care.
You're in it for the money. You're like, oh, I'm a doctor. I became a doctor because I'm promised this money. I'm good in the books. I can do that. And
this dude's life is on my hands. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, you know
dude,
what I
if
mean.
he dies, fuck it. I'm still the guy. You feel me? But I don't know. I mean, I guess to be a doctor though, you definitely worked hard to get to that
But here's the thing,
position
though. A lot of people say that doctors are arrogant, but I would say that instead of arrogance, it's what we're going to talk about more. It's like confidence, but confidence without respect, in a sense. Because some people, I feel, do have the right to be confident. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing, but they're still careless about the people around them.
Okay.
So I feel like you can still be carefree and be confident at the same time. Because if you go back to saying like you earned it or stuff, you can earn like being like you went to, let's say you went to medical school, you're the top surgeon, you know, you did procedures, you did things, you're gonna be confident. And sometimes when you're in that field, you don't have time for like little pity patty stuff, and you're gonna be like less, I would say, what's the word, less affectionate, or more like, what's the word for like, you know, like caring, like
that's a good word.
Like
empathetic. Yeah.
you'll be less empathetic towards petty matters because you're so confident in what you do that you don't care about that. You just want to get the job done. So,
I mean, especially in a position like that, you can't really let your mind fiddle with fodder and shit that doesn't really matter. But how do you think being a confident artist benefits you? Like,
well, I feel like this is actually a good thing because I wanted to know like that sometimes I feel like sometimes you have to actually hide your confidence, and then sometimes you have to fake your confidence. And I'm curious what you guys think I mean by that before I go into detail of that. But like,
Yeah, I mean, like you guys know, you know, like I used to fight, I used to teach, you know, like like mixed martial arts, like, you know, jiu-jitsu and like Muay Thai, kickboxing. But like I was confident when I was teaching because I was confident because I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like I know my technique. I know my technique is good. You know what I mean? And I've gotten like kids who like didn't know anything, you know, like good, or you know, like they've won competition. So I know, like, I had confidence in teaching. But like, let's say like when I transitioned from being a amateur fighter to like an artist, like I had no confidence.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
but
I didn't know
again,
what I didn't know what I was doing.
when you were first getting gallery spaces and like, oh, we're this gallery, and we want to rent your space, and you're going to multiple places, you had one gallery show under your belt.
Yeah.
Like,
No, but like that's
you gotta have kind of like in a sense a fake confidence a little bit.
Yeah, that's what what's it called? Like, so basically, like when I transitioned from that, when we had the first gallery, I've never done anything artistic before.
Yeah.
You know, so when me and Jane and Ariel were looking for like the first gallery and stuff, we had to go. Ariel did most of the talking. I just kind of was like, I like the space, I don't like the space.
Yeah.
But when it came time for me to talk with like the guy who was renting it out to us, like I had to have this fake confidence. I was like, yeah, yo, you know, I've been doing art my whole life. You know, I just made up a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, teaching actually helped me do this, right? Where like, when I first started teaching, was not confident at all because I was like, damn, what if I mess up? What if I don't know what I'm doing? You know, but it kind of like
People are relying on you.
yeah,
you know?
basically, you know, but like it taught me how to be like charismatic. So when I was talking with the owner of the space, I was like very like, you know, like I was complimenting him, you know, I was like, oh, like I really like your space, you know, like, and then like we started talking about other things that had nothing to do with renting out the space, you know, kind of building like a relationship.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just kind of like, you know, he was like, all right, you know, like you guys can rent out the space, and we rented out the space. We had a successful gallery. He invited a bunch of his friends, and we didn't even ask him to. You know, I think it was just the fact that, like, that false confidence, you know, like, just really, like...
It built comfortability. It built, like, welcomeness.
Yeah. But also that false confidence, I think, was also rooted in a lot of, like, a humble nature and also a very mindful, caring nature. Because, like you said, when you step into certain things, like getting into gallery openings and stuff like that, you know, you walk with a sense of false confidence, but it wasn't, like, you walk like a prima donna, you know, like you just knew everything. You were still there to learn and to digest new information and have more opportunities. And when I was talking about someone being arrogant, the reason why I think someone being arrogant is bad, because, for example, you have a martial art experience. This happens in a lot of dojos. Somebody off the street only has street fights come in and just challenge the whole dojo. They're arrogant because they understand the time that y'all spent to get to the level of martial art that y'all are. You know, so I think arrogant can really mess you up in a lot of opportunities if you're walking around like you know everything and it's nothing you can learn and it's nothing. It's no, because that's not humble. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like if you're in a humble state, you are more open to more blessings and opportunities, especially within art. You know, Ezra, I want to say this, like, you know how will you agree with like how a lot of artists who are considered not confident, you know, they're usually the better artists because they see their self and they're like, bro, it's so much things I want to be able to do, you know, and I still haven't got to that point yet. Granted, when you see my work, you're like, bro, my work is your work is amazing. You're doing this, you're doing that, bro. You're so talented. But it's like, yeah, I appreciate it, but I'm humble and I'm still confident in my ability because yes, I'm confident about some of the pieces I've done, but it's not all my pieces I'm so passionate about and I'm so like, you know, excited about. I know it's more work needs to be done.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, I feel like you gotta kind of have to gauge off of goals. Like, I have a certain goal where I want to be at, and I feel like personally, I'm always telling myself like, oh, like I'm kind of more. I would say I'm very, very. I'm not confident at all when it comes to my personal speaking. I'm like, oh, I gotta work on this. I gotta work on this. I'm constantly thinking I gotta work on something. But when I was saying earlier about having false confidence versus hiding your confidence, I feel like there's certain things that I feel like I can do successfully, but when it comes to hiding your confidence, that's mainly for learning. Like when you want to learn from somebody, I hate to say it, but sometimes people don't like to teach people the things that they didn't know everything. Like I could say, for instance, I was a master of anatomy, right? I can go back to someone else that teaches anatomy and go back to things that I feel like I already learned and still learn something new. So sometimes you have to take back what you think you know and what you're confident in, like you thinking you can perceive, and you can always learn more.
Right.
But then when it comes to faking your confidence, I could come out of my head and tell myself like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. Because when you do jobs like freelance, they don't want someone that says that's thinking like, oh, they think they can do this.
I might can do this.
I might can do that. Maybe this time. They want someone, I can do it this time. I can do it this fast. I can do it this well. I can repeat it. I can switch it. I can do renovate. Like you can always, you know, they want someone on it. So I feel like it depends on the field you're in. Like even like in fighting, in fighting, you no matter, you gotta have fake confidence all the time, even if you're not confident. Like when you're getting into a fight. Like, when you're about to get up for a fight, you're having press conference, you gotta be like, oh, like, I'm that guy, I'm gonna take him down, I'm gonna do this, even if you're scared. Like, a lot of fighters say, like, I'm scared every fight.
Right.
But they're not gonna show it, because that's about, like, you
know the difference between what that fake confidence is and arrogance is best believe, especially in martial arts. If I wasn't confident or as confident as I'm showing, best believe I'm gonna work my fucking ass off to get to that ability where I'm like, bro, I put in the work, I did everything I tried my best during training. I'm gonna try my best during this fight, and I'm gonna compete.
But
you know,
there's also different
art.
ways to show it though.
You know,
like there's fighters and even artists. There's fighters that would show that by keeping it cool. Like, I got it. Like I don't need to do all this shit talking. I'm good. And then there's some that do it like Conor McGregor. You know, we were talking about earlier. Yeah. He just likes to run his mouth, talk about anything possible. And then some fighters just sit there quiet, and that's right there itself is a confidence. Like if even if you do a job, you instead of like trying to be like, oh, I can do this. You sometimes you gotta tell someone like what your rules are, what you got, and I can do it. And you don't have to over-explain.
Well, you also say arrogant. I'm asking you. Will you say an arrogant artist struggles with learning and wanting to build on their skills?
I mean, I've never really like encountered like an arrogant artist, or like I'm new to the art scene, so I don't really like know that many artists, or like, you know, like I remember one time Ezra was talking with Frank, one of the collective artists, and Lewis, and they were talking about like, who was the guy that just recently died?
Kim Jong-gi.
I have no idea.
Is he Asian? Like,
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Kim Jong-gi.
Yeah, they were talking about him, and I was like, write that name down and figure out who he is later.
I love that.
You know what I mean? But it's kind of like, I'm not really used to it, but so I can't really say, but I have met some people who are just like not that pleasant to be around. You know what I mean? And I think like if you are an arrogant artist, like, I don't know, because like I've never encountered one, right? But I feel like art is a direct like transcript of who you are. You know what I mean?
It's
like
communication.
Yeah, like exactly what Ezra always says about like, you know, his paintings. He's like putting his emotions, feelings. He's communicating something through his paintings. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like if you're arrogant as an artist and like, you know what? They're I'm not gonna say any names. But
yeah, it's hard to do without saying names.
Yeah, what's it called? I remember like not wanting to like help somebody. I feel like is kind of arrogant. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's kind of like you started from somewhere. We're trying to start something. I remember Jane asked one of like her friends like, "Oh, we really like the space that you guys use. Like, can we have some of the info? Like, you know, where you had it?" He was like, "Oh, I lost it."
You know why? Because that's insecurity, though. Because I think arrogance is honestly rooted in insecurity. I'm gonna not work my ass off to get to the point where I'm actually confident in my ability. So whatever I have, whatever I can do, I'm gonna have this false sense of confidence that's insecure. You know, one thing I want to say, like, for example, have you guys ever been a part of a critique? You know, where we've been in many critiques where you say, "Hey, bro," or "Shorty, you could have did this better." You feel me? Or did that and the third, and they just like, I'm not gonna even do it right. They just are just super against what you're trying to tell them.
Like I'll give you an example. Someone would be like, "Oh, hey, you can work on this," and they'll be like, "No, that was just part of the style. That was part of the look I'm trying to go for."
And
right?
it's not.
And it's not. But also, I feel like you have to critique people with the idea of level, like of where they're at in their growth process. Like for someone like me, I would want someone to tear into me, like to tell me like. Because I've been drawing I haven't considered myself an artist for so long, but I've been drawing for so long. And I want someone to tell me, like, hey, you need to work on this, you need to work on this, you need to build this. This is not good. Like, you know, especially...
This is shit.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since my art is so literal.
Yeah.
Like, I might play with different themes and stuff, but in terms of technique, it's literal, right? And then you have artists that are new, right? And then you have to go things like over perspective and lighting. Like you got to tell someone like, hey, you know, this piece, if you want to create a sense of dimension and have these figures on form, whatever it is, you have to work on perspective, and it's how you build perspective.
Right.
And sometimes that can, like going to ego, sometimes that can hurt someone's ego. And you have to be kind of careful with, especially if you're a teacher in a teaching position.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful with how you give advice to people or how you help people, because people's egos can shatter.
But the good thing between healthy advice and non-healthy advice. Non-healthy advice is like, bro, this is shit, and not telling you how you can make it better.
Yeah.
You know, but I think healthy advice is like, bro, I love these aspects about it. These aspects need some work, and this is how you can do it. Also, I think having confidence in your work is knowing what you don't like about your work as well.
Yeah.
Knowing, you know what I mean? Because confidence isn't just, I love this, and the third. Like, confidence, I don't like this, and this is what I was trying to do. Hey, bro, can you help me with able to uplift this part of my work? You know, and I want to ask Gio, for example, you put together art shows and stuff like that. You know who you want in it. You know who you want in your collective. If you met an arrogant artist that wants to be in your stuff and they don't think it's nothing they need to work on, they think you need to put them in your show and they demand you to, but they're not offering you anything, they're not showing anything that you would want to do, how will you combat that?
I mean, we've really not really encountered anybody like that.
No, put me in your show. I'm joking.
You know, I think it's more like if that ever happens, you know, like how we were talking about before, like I always try to carry myself in a way where like just nonchalant, you know, where like somebody's trying to like be like aggressive, I'll just be like, yeah, you know, you're right, it's my fault, you know, or like, you know, like, yeah, I'll just agree with you. I'll just be like, yeah, you know, you're right. We could do this better, or we can, you know, that's a great idea. Well, you know, we'll talk about it later. Or if somebody like who's arrogant like that is like, yo, I need to be in your show, I'd be like, hey, dude, like, yo, like, first I'd start off with a greeting, be like, hey, you know, like, my name is Giovanni, you know, I basically run the collective, you know, like, what do you do, you know? Like, if they're just like, I want to run the show, I don't think anybody would say that, but like, or be part of the show, I don't think anybody would say that, but I'd be like, you know, like, I'd greet them first. I'd be like, you know, like, what do you do? I'd be like, send me your portfolio, and, you know, then we could talk. The good thing is that the collective is moving in a way where, like, we're trying to protect our artists. You know what I mean? And it's like, we want them to be, like, safe, you know?
Right.
We want them to be okay. We don't want them to be uncomfortable. So we're doing this like screening process where you have to do an assignment, right? And after the assignment, like the board of the collective like talks about it, and then if we decide to continue with it, we'll send you an email like, yo, we're gonna continue with it. You know, like you're moving on to the second phase. And we talked about this at our last meeting, where it's kind of like after that they're gonna collab with one of the artists, right? So the only way you could join the collective now, right, is by recommendation from an artist.
Oh, that's fire.
Well, also the collabing part of it is like, of course, seeing how you can work with other people, because you don't have to get along with everyone, but to be like agreeable and to be like a person, you should be able to have the ability to, because everyone in the collective is fairly is good people.
Yeah,
not fairly. Everyone in there is good people.
Everybody is
they're
good
like
people, yeah.
Some people are more shy and things like that, but overall they're possible to work with. If you're a new artist come in, you can't work with these other artists. What does it say about your character?
Right.
Especially like someone being shy, you know, doesn't make it not hard to work with. You just got to. And most of the people that we do collab with, like say for instance, someone comes in and they do a collab with me, it's like if they're having problems at getting, I'm not trying to say that I'm this super great person, but I like to work with artists. I like to learn. I like to see what people do.
But we know other artists that, you know, they walk with a certain amount of privilege that, I didn't get to be in this gallery. Yeah. What the fuck? You know? Like,
well, speaking of privilege, though, I'm not going to say names, but even in our collective past experiences, we had artists that are, like, they're not part of the collective anymore on their own terms, but because we had artists that felt like they had that they should be selling all this work. They should be spotlighted. They should be like the center stage. And
he's like, bro, do your own thing.
It's like you're held accountable for certain things.
Okay.
Like, obviously, we're gonna give you. We have artists. We're gonna give you your best advice. You can come to us with questions. We're gonna help you work through things. But there's certain things that, you know, as an artist, as a creative, this is a collective. This is we're gonna hold your hand to a certain extent, but we can't tell you everything. We can't. If you have a question, we'll help you. But there's certain things that you have to figure out yourself, and we're not obligated to control you. You know, as an artist, part of it is having your own grounding and understanding how you can grow. And if you want, like, say you want to make sales,
right? Yeah.
How can you better? You can ask us
right
about how you can make sales in a situation.
But you gotta be humble to do something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, and it's like even in that situation, like I know sometimes it's bad to like blame yourself, you know, but I blame myself, you know. I try to hold myself accountable, you know, like in situations like that. And, you know, it's kind of like, again, another collective artist. Like I want to consider myself close to most of the artists. Some of them are like all the way in the Bronx, so it's kind of hard.
Right.
But one of my high school friends who's now in the collective, his name is Frank, you know, great artist. We talked about him like just now. But what's it called? He's like, yo, dude, and he's new. He's a new artist. Even though I've known him since high school, he just joined with like the new batch of artists. He was like, dude, take it with a grain of salt, keep it pushing. And I never thought I'd ever hear him talk to me like in that way. You know, like not in a way where like status or anything, but just like Frank is kind of like, you know, he's just really cool. He's like a cool guy. He's like not confrontational.
Yeah.
I don't think he's confrontational at all based off what he said, but he was like, dude, like he was at the meeting that we had and it was crazy. But he was like, you know, take it with a grain of salt and keep it pushing. And I was like, damn, you know what? You're right. You know, so like now, like everything that was said, everything that was done, everything that wasn't done is like, I want to hold it accountable. For me, the way I see it is like, it's a loss.
I see.
You know what I mean? I was like, damn, you know, like this shit sucks. What can I do to make myself better?
I see. But I think that's also a confidence builder. Going within yourself, like I be talking to my family about this all the time. Like, if the first thing you do is try to point fingers about what other people's not doing, why your life is the way it is, you're never going to grow. You know, I have conversations with people about this just yesterday. You know, you got to take accountability in your life to paint your life the way you want it to be. You know, so definitely going in yourself and be like, bro, even if you did nothing wrong, bro, like we can quote unquote lose friends. We never lose friends. You know, we grow out of friends and stuff like that. And if the first thing you do is go within yourself and be like, bro, how did I lose that relationship, this and that third? And you realize you did not do nothing to lose that relationship, and that's just what the person was. That's just how it is. And I know we're running short on time, but we're just gonna keep it going. what is a way that you guys connect to y'all work? Like, what's the way that you guys connect to your work to build confidence? Like, for example, do you guys ever spiritually connect to your work and have a divine connection to it to know that this work is symbolic to you and your nature?
Well, I would say that my mom is a very like spiritual person. So I would say that the art that I put out sometimes is not like for everybody. And subject matter, some are more like, lenient. And I feel like my mom always tells me like, hey, why can't you draw more prettier things? Not like prettier things like in how it's done, but like in like nature of what the piece is. Like, why can't you do more prettier things or this, that, and the third? And sometimes it's hard because it's so connected to me that I paint, draw, or communicate how I feel on the inside of where I see through my own lens. And it's hard not to do anything but share that. So I feel like if you're an artist as an artist, you're so in your head all the time. You're, especially for me, I'm always thinking about how I can get better. I'm always thinking about, how I'm feeling, what can I work on. And sometimes every time I make a piece, it's like the only thing that could come out, because I'm thinking so much, is my core feelings. And I feel like it is really connected to me in a spiritual way, because it's just like how I communicate the best. Even though I'm talking on this podcast, I feel like I'm not always the best talker. I work so hard on doing that. There's other ways of communicating. Writing, like, bro, I can't write like that.
Real shit.
So I feel like
But we've both been getting into journaling a lot more.
Like, I haven't, when I was young, I haven't talked till I was like 5 or whatever. So it was like most of my, and then even when I started talking, I'll just be chatting for no reason. It was not communicating how I was feeling, what I was trying to do. It was like the earliest connection for me was creating something. Like, even though I never knew what that was, as an artist, it was just, at first, like in our last episode, we talked about when did you consider yourself an artist. For me, it was just like I was just doing these things because it was my form of communication, my form of talking. So it was embedded into me.
I love that.
Yeah. My turn? Oh.
Yeah, your turn.
What's it called? Nah, I mean, I've gotten more confident with the work that I've done recently. And it's mainly because, like, I've been focusing on, like, me, as a person. I've been trying to, like, discover things about me, about, like, my relatives, my people back home, like, I'm Mexican, you know what I mean? Like, but what I recently found out was, like, that, like, most of my family, like, comes from, like, well, obviously it's, like, from indigenous descent, like, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, like, speak Nahuatl, like, I butcher it a lot, but, what's it called? Back home, and that's, like, one of the native tongues back home, and, like, for me, it was, like, damn, like, I always knew we spoke it as a kid. I'm not able to speak it. My mom can understand a little bit, and then my grandparents, my aunts, and everything, they got it down. But what's it called? Like, that to me was like a big, like, bam, like, this is a part of me that I didn't even know, and, like, I'm trying to, like, find out more. I'm trying to learn, like, more about it. And, like, my recent work shows, like, I've been just painting a bunch of representations, like, they're not really gods, but representations of the sun, representations of, like, like water, of like maize, like corn and stuff. So it's like, I think I've gotten more confident because now, like, in all honesty, I try to cater to the wrong type of people. I try to cater to, like, if I'm being honest, it's like white people. Yeah. Because I always thought, like, fine arts, that's a real artist. Like, not the art that I'm doing. It's digital, it's still art. But what's it called? Like, I always try to, like, be like a fine artist. It's just like, maybe one day I'll be able to, it's just not in my skill set right now. But the way I saw it is like, that's real art. But as I progressed, as I met Ezra, as I met, like, all the collective artists, as I met, like, Jane, and as I met, like, my, like, well, not met, but, like, my best friend would talk to me all the time. He doesn't consider himself an artist, but what's it called? He would, like, talk to me and be like, dude, like, your shit is fire. Your shit is good. Like, you don't have to cater towards anybody. Right. You could just make something that you like. If you like it, then it's valid. But at the second gallery, which Ezra was a part of, we had these two dudes who worked with Lewis at his old job, at a warehouse job, and they came, and I was like, I don't know who these dudes are, but I'm gonna go talk to them. So I go, I'm like, oh, you guys like the art? They're like, yeah, yo, like, I'm really into, like, fucking, like, Mexican shit. And I was like, really? Like, he was Mexican. Yeah. And I was like, well,
I thought he was a white guy.
No, he was a Mexican guy. Yeah, and I was like, it was like two Mexican dudes.
Okay.
I don't remember their names. Damn.
I think I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah. And what's it called? Like I just stood there and I just started talking about my art and like the representations and like, you know, like the history behind it and like what they mean. And the dude was like amazed, you know? And then that's when I found out. I'm like, bro, like I've been trying to cater to the wrong type of people. Like that's not who I should be caring about.
You gotta find your community.
Well, because art's not catering, it's sharing.
Yeah, it's sharing.
So it's like, I love that.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that.
And like, why would I want like, you know, no offense to these people, but like, why would I want like somebody who can't connect to it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather like show it. You know, I'd rather like showcase it to my people. You know, to like people who are Mexican, people who are of indigenous descent. Mm-hmm. You know, and like,
and I love that about your work personally, bro. I think I DM'd you, bro. You did not like my DM to even look at it.
Bro, sometimes I be...
Yeah, it's cool. I know you be working your ass off, bro. But I'm just like... I said, bro, I already admire your work ethic, bro. And I also... I don't think I texted that, but I also like how you really show indigenous Mexican cultures and stuff. A lot of things, because a lot of brown and black people are disconnected from their roots due to colonization and stuff like that. And I love how you're embracing your roots and stuff. And, you know, kind of disconnected from that Eurocentricism and, like, connecting to what's real and what should be in the forefront and what's taken away from so many people.
Yeah, you know,
us sharing our feelings. I love this.
Nah,
but
for real, bro.
This is actually, it's kind of like we're gonna get close to wrapping up. So I did write down some tips to like building confidence, and I feel like you actually kind of touched on one of them with I think somebody just wrote a basic list. I'm just gonna go through it real quick. I had learn new skills, leave your comfort zone. Set smaller goals, because there's bigger goals. You gotta set smaller goals where you can hit, you know, constantly to build, you know, focus on your strengths. Because obviously when you're learning new skills, you can carry on your strengths to other things. Like you were a fighter, right? Being a fighter is about dedication. It's about pushing through hard, like you have to push through hard times. You have to keep training, you gotta keep training. And being an artist is like, you can utilize those skills towards it, even though it's a whole different craft. Eliminate negative language. Word is power. So I feel like you have to tell yourself, like, even though this is a problem for me, I always tell myself, oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I couldn't say that. I would say, wow, this is good. Let's work on to another one, because that leads to always be the better you than you were yesterday. Like, always try to better than yourself. Don't compare yourself to other artists. Tell yourself, like, okay, this piece I can work on this more. You do that, I can communicate this more. You work on that. So that's a big one that I love. And normalize struggle. Like, I know people love to say normalize, so I'm going to have to put it in there. But normalize struggle.
Right.
Normalize it being hard, because hard, like, pressure creates diamonds, popular phrase. Mm-hmm. But, like, you have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing. A lot of people, when it's hard, it's like you feel like you start to feel uncomfortable. But it's like that safety zone. It's like, you have to be in that spot. I heard this from a different podcast. You have to be in that spot where you're just not touching the bottom, but you're close enough, right? You're not staying in the water, but you're close enough. You can swim. You're not too far where you'll drown. And you want to be out of your comfort zone, but you don't want to be too far, which leads into setting smaller goals.
I love that.
So
I feel
like those things really build confidence. You said that when you did, when you start making more pieces that relate to yourself, and you start being consistent with it, you actually felt more confident in sharing. Yeah. Because it was building. So that's like some points I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah, and I got like 3 in the bank right now. You know
what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's fire. I definitely love that, for real. But yeah, with me, bro, I definitely just try to be spiritually guided with my work. You know, I like to pray on different things I have while I'm journaling on it, just so I can fully have a vision on how I want to and what components I want to add to it. I'm just a really spiritually led person when it comes down to things. So especially times like with photography, it's all about opportunity, you know? So before I go out to go shoot anything, you feel me? I just pray to hope that I even have the opportunity to have those times to get those great subjects, you know?
Yeah. So,
I mean, I got one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So one thing that I can say is, like, I've never been confident, like, growing up, like, when it came to fighting. But, what's it called? Eventually it's just going to click. Like, one day it's just gonna, like, you're not gonna snap, but it's gonna click. It's gonna make sense in your head. I remember, like, growing up, like, these kids would, like, beat the shit out of me, like, while training, one of my closest friends, Bryce, we used to hit each other so hard that we would knock each other down. You know, but he was always bigger than me, so I hurt a lot more. You know, and I would always like lose to him and stuff. Well, can't really lose in training, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was not good at all. But
Yeah,
then one day, I just kept doing it. You know, like I kept doing it because like I liked it.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't good at it. You know, and really, like any martial artist will tell you, they're never gonna be good at it. Like,
but
you know,
when you started, you weren't trying to be like, you weren't trying to look at the best fighter of all time and compare yourself. You was like, my jab or like my movement is not looking so good, my footwork's not looking so good. Let me work on that a little bit better. And because you got a little bit better and you saw progress, you felt better.
No, that's 100% like correct. You know, like I started getting like words of like affirmation from my first coach. His name is like Glenn. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but we used to call him Joshu Glenn. And he, honestly, man, like without that dude, like I don't think I would have like even started the collective. You know, if I really think about it. Well, if I really think about it, it's my parents, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that guy, Joshu Glenn, like, he, like...
Well, props to him.
Yeah, for real. He's still here. He's still alive, you know? He's great.
Gotta meet this guy.
But I remember I was always, like, a chubby kid. And we wore these things called rash guards.
Yeah.
They were really tight on our skin.
Yeah,
I would try to suck my stomach in. And I was like this. And he was like, dude, everybody got a belly. You know? He walked over to me. He's a fit dude. You know, he came over to me. He just let his stomach go. He was like, see? And, like, even just that just made me a little bit more confident, you know? I was blessed enough to have somebody like that. And then my parents as well. But it's kind of like, what I want to say is, like, he kind of instilled in me to, like, just never, you know,
meet
do
people,
it.
learn from people.
No, not even that. Just, like, not to give up on something.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you meet people and learn from people, you can learn different things from everybody.
Also, confident people, a real confident person brings other people up.
There you go.
If you're freaking arrogant, you don't care what people are because you're really insecure in yourself. But if you're really confident, I'm gonna want my guys to be up with me. You know, I'm gonna want to eat with my guys. You know, and like that's just how it should be. You know, and you should never want to do anything reluctantly. You feel me? Anytime you want to get good at something, definitely, like you said, your mindset. Have a good mindset. Understand your perspective. Know why you're doing it. If you just love to fight, and like he said, he likes to fight and stuff. So after this podcast, we're gonna fight. So thank you so much for watching. Guys, get inspired with us and help us find your muse. All right, let's get the fuck out of here.